So another streamer friend and person of color today started and they were playing Final Fantasy 16 because there's a bit of controversy about not being any people of color in the game, and the response would oh yeah, I mean, if you don't have diversity in your games and shows these days, you're asking for trouble. Though I suppose that gets into a social issue of, like, should you be obligated to have diversity in your content? What do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
I think you have to twist racist arms to have people of color in content, otherwise there wouldn't be.
So do you think as a content creator, so like someone who's making a game or a show, they should integrate people of color, because if they don't, who will?
Um, hmm. Oftentimes, there's some requirement of like, trying to think of like, college or businesses that are larger and receive funding from the government might have some obligations for more of a affirmative action stance. So maybe the same thing could go for gaming companies. Like if a larger company, um, though there's no real, no, I don't think there's any way to obligate it outside of social enforcement. You know, but do I think there should be some social pressure to have some diversity in media? Yeah.
She was saying it's made by Japanese folk, and let's be honest, the Japanese are notoriously xenophobic and aren't generally
Yeah.
racially sensitive. Being isolated as a country for centuries will do that.
Yeah, it's true.
Welcome
Very
back,
true.
Gaster. I think generally with games and shows and comics, there should be diversity unless there's a reason, like a very specific reason in the story that it should
Yeah.
be diverse. Like if you're having a story about a like African tribe, everyone should be African. There shouldn't be white people unless it's about colonialism or something.
Yeah. Nah, you just cast them all as white people.
Only white people.
Only white people.
Everything only white. When asked why there was no people of color in the game, the director replied, "Diversity in entertainment media has become a much discussed topic as of late." Yoshida said, "Our design concept from the earliest stages of development has always heavily featured medieval Europe, incorporating historical, culture, political, and anthropological standards that were prevalent at the time."
So they're basically saying having more people of color in that time would be inaccurate.
I mean,
That's fair.
Yeah, that is fair.
Sounds fair to me. I don't know the specifics, but
Sheep says, "Well, that's not the best response, it does make sense." Which part isn't such a good look, Sheep? Have I said something offensive? Oh, your previous message. Yeah. Not the most PC statement, but it makes sense, yeah. If it comes down to separate the art from the artist kind of discussion. Yeah, I would still play the game. I understand what the content creator is saying, the director. And I don't, while it's not the most socially, politically correct thing, I don't think it's wrong. Part of you wonders what that is being okay with it comes from being a white dude. I feel like you're placing a lot of guilt on this. A lot of guilt. You're putting a lot of guilt on it. Like, I'm getting the impression that you are holding a lot of personal responsibility for the actions of somebody else.
I don't think he was saying like we're all saying like, yeah, that seems like a reasonable response, you know, having it time appropriate. Less people of color, and he's saying like he's wondering if we're saying that just because we are white. Like, how would we feel if we were a person of color?
Oh.
And yeah, maybe I it's hard to kind of put yourself in that headspace.
I didn't understand. Yeah, Sheep says you're right. I just didn't understand Sheep. Didn't really think too much about it until the person mentioned it. He, for the record, is a huge JRPG fan and plays a lot of them on stream, so for him to say that he's not going to play at all, not just on stream, was struck it with him.
I have to kind of say I don't agree with necessarily forcing people of color into a game that is at a point in time where maybe, or a geographical area where maybe people of color weren't very prevalent at the time. I think that can be that comes off more as forced to me than anything else, you know. And forcing an inaccurate representation just for the sake of inclusion, I don't know. That strikes me as a little weird.
I feel like that's more offensive to, or that would be more offensive to people of color then. You're like, oh, well, I just threw you in there because I knew you'd be offended if I didn't.
I can see the argument of, like, even if it is historical, like it's a medieval time kind of period, and there weren't as many people of color. Just having people of color included, just because, well, there's more people of color now, right? Why not? I could kind of see that.
Well, now you got me wondering, historically speaking, are there more people of color now, or are there's more representation than there's ever been?
It's geographical. I don't think, no, there's always been more people of color than white people, I would say, even. You just look at, like, India alone, like, the population.
The problem lies in the fact the director admitted it's a fantasy setting which is rooted in reality. It's not historically accurate, it's fantasy, so having people of color wouldn't be totally...
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting as well, like, why not now? It is fantasy. It's not an accurate medieval times, so why not have people of color in it?
Yeah, I mean, if someone's saying it's fantasy, so why are you so focused on reality?
Yeah.
Also, if you need me to stop talking about it, just say stop. Just something that's on my mind. I was interested in getting other people's opinions. Yeah, no, you're fine. My take on it is that maybe the director is a perfect cast that isn't diverse, but it fits the film. Yeah, I feel like what you said earlier, Sheeb, best describes this situation is separate the director from the art itself. Like, the director might be insensitive, but the art itself, like, if he, like, sticking to the theme of being relatively historically accurate but fantasy-based, let the art be what the art is. Don't bring social pressures into it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the art itself.
That's how you get people that like Kanye, though.
Ooh. Good point. And we all know how and where Kanye's at. I don't know, like, I want to say, like, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time...
I agree, just based on what I've heard here, but, yeah. If the... Also, you have to question, there's a philosophy for anthropology that culture can't be wrong. It's just different, right? So if you run on that philosophy, you almost based on that philosophy, the culture for the Japanese often includes a degree of xenophobia. I don't know. We're getting into globalization too, though, which might kind of discredit the no culture is wrong. Because maybe we're more of a
Oh, it's dying.
there is right and wrong. Yeah, we shouldn't talk about this just because I'm thinking of concepts I could bring up, but it's not really appropriate for maybe if we turn this into a video for the nephew.
Very much appreciate the conversation all the same. No, you're fine for bringing heavy topics in, Sheep. You are absolutely okay. I mean, like, the whole point of my, like, streaming channel is I want to talk. Like, I want to talk about stuff that's hard, I want to talk about stuff that's fun. So, like, if it means we get into discussions that aren't necessarily the most, you know, PC or comfortable
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to discourage conversation. Just don't be bad about it.